Joining me now is Rick Rule of Rule Investment Media. Always great to see you, Rick.
Pleasure to be back. Thank you, Mark.
So as we know, gold is within a spitting distance of an all-time high. We also know that one of the driving forces is when investors look at the global debt pile, especially in the United States. That's a big driving force. You've got the Trump administration coming in. Under him the first time, Trump 1.0, the debt pile went up. Will that happen under Trump again?
Yeah, the debt pile is going to grow further, faster. Mr. Trump talks about the Department of Government Efficiency. It's interesting that he put in charge of it a guy named Elon Musk, who has, of course, received billions of dollars in government subsidies in his career. The idea that you improve government by putting in another agency tells you, I think, all that you need to know. My suspicion is that Trump will be able to keep tax rates lower, but he won't reduce spending. If you decrease revenue and you increase spending, it's pretty obvious what the outcome is going to be around debt. The second thing that people need to know that most people don't know is that the on-balance sheet liabilities of the US government matter less. That number is $36 trillion. The net present value of the off-balance sheet liabilities of the US government, that's entitlements, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, according to the Congressional Budget Office, now exceed $100 trillion. The idea that Mr. Trump is going to cut entitlement benefits, I think has zero chance of succeeding. So, irrespective of his verbiage, the truth is that the debt problem gets worse.
And gold stays elevated. And goes higher.
I think it goes much higher.
Okay.
Now, that's interesting too, Mark. When people say to me, Rick, when is the gold price going to finally move? I scratch my head sagely and I say, the year 2000. In 2000, the gold price was $250 an ounce. Now it's $2,700. It's up over sevenfold, and people say, when's gold going to move?
Yeah.
It's been moving.
Now, silver, I know you're intrigued by, maybe even more so than gold right now. There's an analyst, for what it's worth, the other day said, by the end of the year, 38 sounds about right. And he was talking about primarily because of industrial demand. So what are your thoughts on silver right now?
I'm too old and smart to give you a price target. In my experience, a precious metals bull market is led by gold. When the narrative becomes pervasive enough that the generalist investor comes into the precious metal space, leadership transfers to silver. I don't know why. I've tried to figure that out for 50 years. I just know that. And if past is prologue, I can't tell you if it's going to be 25 or 26 or 27, but leadership will change from gold to silver. And silver, when it moves, has traditionally moved much further and much faster than gold. And then, of course, a sub-asset class to that is the silver stocks. There are so few high-quality silver stocks that when the generalist investor comes into that space, there isn't enough room in the silo. There isn't enough market cap to contain the money, and they absolutely explode to the upside. I'm convinced that'll happen again, but the next question you're going to ask me is when, and I'm going to have to say, I don't know.
It's usually, historically, recently, every 5 years, 2011, 2016, 2021, so maybe we're due here. Now we're going to switch to natural gas and a few ideas you have for us here. Natural gas is interesting. We know it's been running, we know it's seasonal, but yeah, add in this whole data center component for AI usage and AI needs, and natural gas is a natural, pun intended.
I think that's right, and at least in North America, alternative energies are politically correct too. Wind and solar. Wind and solar don't work if you don't have natural gas to produce peaking power when the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine. So to the extent that the politically correct AI uses of energy include wind and solar, that's extraordinarily bullish for natural gas. The real winner, by the way, in the data centers is nuclear. But that's a whole different question.
Right.
My natural gas thesis has to do with the thing that's been holding back, in particular, Canadian natural gas, has been politics. Your current Prime Minister, soon to be ex-Prime Minister, said there was no business case for Canadian natural gas, despite the fact that your trading partners wanted to buy it, and despite the fact that the price for Canadian natural gas per million BTU, AECO price, has averaged about $2 Canadian, while the price for that same gas in Rotterdam or Shanghai was 14 Canadian dollars. $2 to 14. Perhaps a $3 arbitrage to liquefy it and ship it. So $5 total cost, you sell it for $14, the customer wants it, and the Prime Minister says there's no business case. That has been the problem. Now that your Prime Minister is pursuing other employment opportunities, that problem's gone. A second problem has been the de facto rather than de jure opposition to energy transmission in the United States under the Biden administration. The regulatory constraints around moving oil and gas in the United States have been extraordinary, and I think that opposition is gone too. So Canadian natural gas will be able to go to Pacific markets through Canada, perhaps go through Canadian infrastructure to the eastern seaboard, but if they don't go to to European markets through the eastern seaboard, they can go through the U.S. eastern seaboard. The removal of the regulatory constraints for the shipment of Canadian natural gas is an absolute sea change. By the way, a bonus in this is that I suspect that some of the regulatory constraints against shipping Canadian heavy crude will go away too. The U.S. Gulf Coast refiners are desperate for that kind of crude. They were built to accommodate Venezuelan crude and Mexican crude, which is no longer available in large measure to our refiners. The U.S. refiners would love the heavy oil from Alberta. We have to get it from Alberta to Texas, to Louisiana, and the regulatory constraints in Canada and the United States to do that are disappearing.
All right, so as that plays out, you've got three names for us here. They're all bigger cap ARC Resources. That pays a nice dividend.
Yeah, and ARC varies from the theme a little bit. It's not primarily a natural gas stock. It's not a heavy oil stock. It is what I believe, I've known those guys for many years, the best managed mid-cap energy name in North America. I'm attracted to that company because of the range of assets, but I'm particularly attracted to them because they're highly competent. They're also prudent. They will not blow up the balance sheet. They will not blow up the cost structure. They are very, very, very high quality people. That is, to me, the finest name in the space.
Well, that's saying a lot. And then Tourmaline and Peyto, those are known as primarily natural gas, right?
I mean, Tourmaline is a liquids and gas producer. Again, extraordinarily efficient. Efficient at recycle ratio. Recycle is the amount of new reserves that you can add for the margin that you get selling your existing reserves. And doing that, these guys are saints. They're just truly, truly, truly spectacular. Again, really high quality operators. The third name, Peyto, is really, truly gas focused. And they are, I would suspect, the best full cycle gas producer in Canada. Their constraint has been they could produce more gas than they could sell, which is problematic. Now that the gloves are coming off with regards to sales, I think you'll see Peyto do very well. By the way, the whole North American natural gas market in the last 6 months has turned around. The BTU equivalent price of gas in the North American market is up by 100%. It's doubled, so depending on the math, in the last 6 months without the removal of political constraints.
Rick, we ran the gamut, macro, gold, silver, natural gas. You gave us some names. Thanks as always.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to your audience. I should tell you and tell them, anybody who cares what I have to say about natural resources can personalize it. Go to ruleinvestmentmedia.com, my website, list your natural resource stocks. Sidebar, no crypto, no pot stocks. I'll, for no obligation, no cost, rank them, return it by email. Ruleinvestmentmedia.com, list your natural resource stocks, I'll rank them. Mark, thanks for your time.
Perfect. Thank you, Rick. Great to see you. Okay, Rick Rule, Rule Investment Media.